wanted to do a quick video about everything that is wrong with our 99 Silverado.
It's a long list. Buckle up.
It is a long list. So, this is our 99 Silverado regular cab, short bed, 5-speed, 4.8 liter V8 manual, 4-wheel drive pickup. It's mostly just like a work truck. We bought it when we were moving into our house and needed something to move all of our stuff. I really like the fact that it was a stick, 4-wheel drive, and the V8, which is kind of rare for this year.
Yeah, as a little bit of a purist, I may have insisted that I only wanted manual vehicles in our fleet, hence giving the go-ahead for this truck.
So it was only $1,500, and I think it had like 180 something thousand miles on it when we got it. It currently has 208,000 miles on it right now, and it's been off the road a little while. I think the inspection ran up like over the summer or something like that. The tires were shot, the e-brake was shot, so I didn't get it re-inspected. So right now, the things that I want to work on before getting it back on the road, the number one thing is the e-brake. The parking brake does not work. When I purchased the truck, there was no e-brake shoes in the drums, and half of the e-brake lines were missing. Like, the previous owner just didn't want the e-brake at all, apparently. But because it's a 5-speed, anytime you want to park or like let the truck idle, you have to shut it off, which is annoying pretty much all the time. So I got new e-brake cables, and I got some other parts in the e-brake that I'm going to replace. The other thing is the front tires are totally shot. There's new tires sitting in the bed of the truck, so those will go on when it gets inspected. There's also a bunch of rust. The bed sides are kind of rusting away. The floor has a giant rust hole in it, and the cab corners on the actual cab are also missing or non-existent.
It's standard rust patterns, though, for this truck.
Very standard.
So nothing exciting there.
Yeah. I'll probably patch most of those up. The floor, definitely I have to get fixed. When I got it, you could tell it was starting to break through. Now there's literally a giant hole, and the rubber mat that is on the floor kind of goes through. So that's definitely a concern. The bed sides and the cab corners I'm not as concerned with. Again, this is just a work truck, so we like haul hay with it and do related furniture moving and people moving and things like that. So not really as concerned about those, but I may get them fixed eventually, just patch them up. I do have a parts truck that is the same year that I could steal some metal from. I may do that. It's also very beat up, so I thought about swapping the whole bed, but it's got some dents and things in it. Don't really need to bother with that.
It's also a big investment for this truck.
Yeah,
We've
true.
kind of wanted to do the minimum to keep this thing running, considering it was a minimum investment up front.
But at the same time, I would like to get this back to as 100% as possible. And since I have the parts, it's just more of a time investment than a money investment at this point. So,
all right, what's
we'll
next
see.
on the list?
So the fuel lines are also pretty rusty. I've replaced sections of the fuel line. I've replaced the filter, and I just bought a whole set of fuel lines from the tank all the way to the engine, so I can replace those. I also got a new fuel pump, because right now there's a check valve in the fuel pump. So anytime you shut the truck off, it's supposed to hold fuel pressure in the fuel line. So the next time you go to start it, it starts right up. Right now, you have to cycle the key 3 times slowly to build up fuel pressure in the fuel lines in order to get it to start. Otherwise, you just sit there with the key on for like 20 seconds before it actually will fire. So I want to get the fuel lines replaced, and I want to get the fuel pump replaced. That'll take care of that check valve problem. Then there's some things going on with the interior that I want to take care of. Again, minor. There's a bunch of holes in the seat, which are more annoying, like there's missing foam. So I just want to do something quick and dirty to get that fixed up. I might just steal pieces off the parts truck, just like cut out whatever shape I need and like hand sew them in and fill the foam in with foam from the other seat, just so that it doesn't have giant holes in it. There's a bunch of cigarette burns and things like that that would be really easy to kind of take care of. The steering wheel's really beat up. I might swap the steering wheel from the other truck, but that's kind of like a way down on the list thing. The radio has a really interesting problem when you first turn the truck on.
This is my favorite thing about the truck.
when you first turn the truck on, the radio will never turn on. The radio itself is on, and it says it's playing FM. It's got a CD player that doesn't work. I don't really care about it. I only listen to the radio when I'm driving this thing. So if you open and shut the door, the radio starts working. And it does that 100% of the time. Every single time it does that.
I thought he was messing with me the first time. We were going to get hay. We're in the truck. The radio's not on. We're driving right up the road. He opens the door, slams it closed. The radio comes on. And I was like, did it come on because you slammed the door? And he's like, yeah. And I thought he was joking. It wasn't a joke.
Yeah, no, it does it every single time. And I don't know what could cause that. It's got to be like loose wiring or something. But it's really weird because it happens every single time. But I may replace the radio or look into that. But
low on the list.
Again, low on the list.
What are the other high priority things, though?
It's pretty much it. The highest priority... Oh, no. The highest priority is the heat doesn't work. So I don't know if it's the heater core or if it's the blend door, but something is causing no hot air to come into the cabin. At first I thought it was the heater core because I felt both the heater hoses and one was hot and one was cold. That's usually an indicator that the whole heater core is clogged and it's not letting hot coolant in through the heater core. But then another time I felt it and they were both the same temperature, so it could be something to do with the blend door. Maybe I didn't let it warm up enough the first time. But that is what's really stopping me from driving it in the winter. I do like driving this thing in the winter. It has all-terrain tires on it, and with the four-wheel drive, it just has zero problem with the snow. It's really easy to drive, and you don't have to plow. You just drive right through the snow, no problem.
Right, and manual vehicles are great in the winter, too,
yeah,
just
absolutely.
because you can drive in a lower gear.
Yep, yeah, you have more control over it, and even when you're, like, trying to get out of a slippery situation, just having the clutch to be able to control the torque going to the wheels is really useful.
And you want to be the guy who can pull someone out of a snowbank.
Yeah, that is true. I got a bunch of tow straps and things, so if I ever see someone on the side of the road that's stranded, I can help them, as long as I don't break their car or the truck, or get hit by another car, which is always a concern. So, got to play it safe there. We'll see.
Anything else on the list?
There's an issue with the passenger front wheel. The camber won't get into alignment. It's positive. From the side, it's positive, and every other alignment spec is close enough that it drives fine. It does pull slightly to the right because that wheel is leaning that way. I would like to get that fixed if possible, but I guess it's not really a big deal. Oh, also, all four shocks are rotted out, like the housings of the shocks themselves are rotted out. The shocks seem okay-ish. They're not great, but I decided to get 4 replacements because it's like $70 for 4 shocks. It's not even that expensive. So have those parts also waiting, ready to go on. I have new door hinges because both the doors sag a little bit. That's a more time-consuming issue. You have to cut out the old hinges and then put the new ones in. The door, or the truck when I got it, didn't have any door locks. The door lock barrels themselves were missing. I didn't really know what the backstory was.
We should do a story about when we bought the truck, because it was one of those moments where I thought he might be crazy.
It was bad.
It was really bad.
So I took the door locks out of the parts truck and replaced the driver's side one, so at least if I'm ever driving anywhere where I want to lock the truck, like in the city or whatever, I can actually do that. I just lock the passenger door from the inside. The passenger door still doesn't have the lock barrel in it. The driver's door does. It's sticky sometimes, so I have to like grease it up or something to get it to work, and then I want to put the one in on the passenger side, and I have those parts also sitting in the garage somewhere.
But speaking of parts, I mean, we're in the country, so parts for this truck are easy to come by, junkyard style, and the parts truck he's been referencing is actually my mom's old truck, and she was just so kind as to give it to him once went the transmission and she gave up on it.
Something about the crossover pipe
anyway,
and the exhaust, I don't know.
So it's his mother-in-law's truck he's scavenging for parts on.
Yep,
so.
And it's nice to have because any little screw. Oh, it doesn't have tow hooks in the front for some reason. They removed those, so I'm going to take the tow hooks off the white truck. I think that might be everything.
There's also a hideous aftermarket bumper on
yeah.
this.
I don't
You
know if
can't
it's in
see
the
it
shot.
because we're sitting on the tailgate on top of it, obviously.
Like the end caps are coming off, and it's chrome, and it's not attached, so it shakes. So people behind me get blinded. It's
Yeah, I followed him home, and the reflection of my own headlights off of the chrome of this bumper is enough to make me feel like I might actually have a seizure. So a different bumper would be nice, but again, not essential.
Not essential. There's one on the parts truck, but it's rusted through, so I may or may not use it. I'm still on the fence on that one. Oh, and also, this has a trailer hitch on it, and I would like to use it for towing just in general, whether I have to tow one of our cars or just towing large objects. And there is a brake controller on the truck. However, it was wired in with house Romex cable, and part of the insulation was actually rubbing through and sparking, so I pulled all of that cable out. So I'll either need to get a new brake controller or rewire the current brake controller. And then something with the wiring and all of that is causing the rear reverse lights to not work all of the time. It seems like when I first start the truck, the reverse lights work, but then after a long drive, they don't work. So I'm assuming, again, loose wire of some kind. So all of the wiring under the bed essentially needs to be rewired.
I think that's the list.
All right, yeah, no, this time. We've said that a couple times, but
Right.
yeah, I really
For real
think,
this time, that's the list of all the things that are wrong with
Yep.
our least glamorous vehicle.
So, yeah, I'll get it all fixed, and we'll just have a parts beater truck forever, hopefully.
Yeah.
My plan is to try to get it to 300,000 miles. I don't know if that'll work or not, but that's the plan.
Send prayers. All right. Bye.
Bye.